All right. We are live. Here we are back. Another episode of the Fast Break here on the Variety Sports YouTube channel. I'm your host, Shoot the Rock. And as you can see by the title of this video, we are down to 4 teams left in the March Madness tournament. And it's chalk. It's chalk. It's chalk. It's all one seeds. Second time this ever happened. First time since 2008, where that semifinal or that Final Four was also in San Antonio. So we have a bit of a history repeating itself here. 2008, and now all of a sudden we got the same as what was that, 2008? So that'd be 17 years ago. So same thing here in San Antonio. So we're gonna break down these games here from this weekend. I'm just gonna be honest, guys. Today's show probably a little bit quicker. I'm literally moving tonight, so this will be the last time you see me recording the Fast Break here in this studio for a little bit. So yes, that's a little bit why we're a little bit earlier here today, and why we're probably gonna be a little bit quicker, and why things are a little bit more sporadic. Especially in the last week's show, wasn't as prepared as usual, so my apologies for that. But yeah, so here we are. Let's just get right into it. So first game, and this was probably the best game of the weekend, with the Texas Tech Red Raiders. It looked like they were going to the Final Four. They had an insane comeback on Friday night on Thursday night against Arkansas. It was the last game of the night. It was one of those. It was right down to the wire. It looked like Arkansas had it in the bag, but all of a sudden Texas Tech goes on a run to end the game, ends up taking it. So then they find themselves here in the Elite Eight against Florida, and it's Florida who takes them down 84-79 behind 30 points from Walter Clayton, including a game winner, like just step back, ridiculous shot by him to give the Gators the victory. And this is one, like I said, it's very similar to how Arkansas kind of blew it against Texas Tech. Texas Tech, let's be honest, they blew this one. They're up by 10 points with 6.5 minutes to play. Still up multiple possessions, with less than 4. They're up 8 at the under 4 timeout. So just kind of crazy that Texas Tech had this one in the bag, but they missed a couple free throws down the stretch and just weren't able to put it away. And then Florida, they made them pay for keeping them in that game. So we had, like I said, it was Walter Clayton who's the leader with 30 points. Thomas Hall, the big, also had 20 points off the bench, and he was just so dominant. Texas Tech did not really have an answer for him. 11 rebounds as well, and it was just a good battle of kind of the bigs, because on the Texas Tech side, they're led by JT Toppin and Darian Williams, who had 20 points and 23 points apiece. JT Toppin also had 11 rebounds, but I thought Florida did a really good job of, they kind of knew, especially late in the game. I think it was Williams, had a spin move that he was trying to, would have scored, I believe, to either take, I want to say it was when it was tied to take the lead, that Florida just did a great job, being there, stopping the spin, and made him pass out. And then I think it was Williams took a 3 and missed, and that was kind of what sealed the deal. If I'm remembering this correctly, I was in the car actually, going to watch the Duke game. So I it's tough watching games in the car like that a little bit, but that's what I remember. So Florida, very good win here. Trying to kind of look here, anything else stats wise that just jumped out. But yeah, this is one of those games where this is why I've been high on this Florida team, is just because their guard play with Clayton and Martin, just how just they can get quick like that, just get hot like that quickly, knock down shots. And that's really just the difference maker for the Gators. I mean, both teams shot pretty well, or not really pretty well, but like similarly, 43% from the field, 37% from 3. But yeah, free throw line, Florida was 25-27. They got to the line. Tech did not get to the line, only shot 13 free throws and only made 7 of them. Like I said, if they make, a couple down the stretch, they missed a couple front end of the 1-on-1s that really just, kind of sold it for them. If it wasn't for that, I really think we would have seen Texas Tech here in the Final Four. But almost, it's just kind of like, I feel like when you have those games where there's such an emotional win like that, like Texas Tech had in the Sweet 16 against Arkansas, once you have a win like that, it's really kind of hard to keep that momentum going. And I think that's just kind of what happened here. Is Texas Tech, they had to play an overtime game. not short turnaround, obviously, but you know, they were the last game on Thursday night and then have to play the first game here on Saturday. And you know, just the emotions from that big of a win, it kind of almost puts you at you know, vulnerable for a letdown spot, like kind of what happened to Texas Tech. So, you know, like I said, their largest lead in the game was up. They're up by 10 at multiple points here in the second half. Florida never led by more than 5, and that's that. Like their winning margin was their largest lead, kind of thing. Biggest thing here, kind of for Florida, what I think they're gonna have to watch out for. Looking at it here, points off of turnovers. Texas Tech had 22 off of 12 turnovers from Florida. Meanwhile, Florida only had 5 points off of 7 Texas Tech turnovers. And especially just kind of how good defensively this Auburn team is. You know, how they like to play very physical, like to get up in your grill, and just have these defensive-minded guys. That's something, you know, Florida, I think, is going to have to do a little bit better job taking care of the ball if they want to knock off Auburn in this next game. Granted, we'll get to Auburn in a second here. But yeah, that's kind of really all I got from this. I guess we can maybe touch on it now just because we're talking about Florida and they did knock off Maryland to get to the Sweet 16. So we might as well, I guess, just kind of touch on it now. So Florida, like I said, they knock off Maryland 87-71 on Thursday night. And then I know it was at 1 a.m. I forget if it was, I think it was Saturday. It was announced Kevin Willard is going to Villanova. So Kevin Willard, you know, you don't blame a guy. Obviously, this is what happens. Like coaches, they move on, they get better jobs. That's why, you know, the transfer portal now is a thing. It's like, okay, if players can or coaches can move all the time, so can players. But just how this was handled by Kevin Willard is just super frustrating to me if I was a Maryland fan and just kind of as a college basketball fan. Because let's be honest, like I really don't think Maryland to Villanova is this like great like jump up. Like Maryland's a program like with success. They've won national championships. They're now in a national championship. They're now in the Big Ten. So revenue wise, you know, they're gonna be up there for earnings. And now he goes to Villanova, where yes, Villanova did win 2 national titles under Jay Wright recently. You know, has 3 as a program. But I mean, look at Kyle Neptune had absolutely 0 success there at Villanova. He's already out within 3 years. And honestly, like for Willard, if he doesn't turn it around quick, like Villanova, I think kind of fades into the background a little bit from like a national program sense. I mean, kind of just like look at Georgetown's really the one I always reference. Is Georgetown, you know, in the 80s, like went to Final Fours, was like competing, like went to Final Fours, won a national championship. Still in like the early 2000s, like we're ranked, we're winning national championships, and now they're the basement of the Big East because granted this year, you know, kind of turned around a little bit, but did lose to DePaul all 3 times. Usually that was like the one kind of win they could count on was beating DePaul, and this year they didn't get it. So that's where I just kind of, you know, it's just a tough. I just don't think it's this jump up that it's made out to me. Maybe they do get more NIL money kind of thing because it is. Actually, Villanova does have a football program, but it's an FCS football program, so obviously they're not spending the same way on football as a, you know, Big Ten program in Maryland. But it's kind of like, all right, he kind of has to win now. And I guess just the problem with me too is we saw him do this kind of similar thing leaving Seton Hall. Like, you know, left like right after they lost the tournament for this Maryland job. And then, you know, kind of like in his press conference, like, oh, Shaheen Holloway's can do like a great job because that was when the tournament when St. Peter's went on a run. And it's kind of like, what, like, why is he just like exposing like all this like behind the scenes stuff? Like, I don't know. It just kind of doesn't seem like he handles these situations great. And it just kind of makes me think that if, like I said, things don't go well at Villanova, he's going to do the same thing to Villanova that he's now done to Seton Hall in Maryland. So that's why I just get a little concerned, and I don't really think things are going to be, you know, just all that different. Like, I think we kind of see the guy he is now. I like how Will Wade did handle moving from McNeese to North NC State. Like he was just open and honest. Like Willard was just so just mysterious, where it's like everyone knew he was leaving, but like he just like wouldn't like admit it. He was just like handling it like super weird, super funky. Where I don't know, I'd kind of almost rather just see coaches handle it like be honest, kind of thing. Because I mean, like this Maryland team, very talented. They were down 2 at half against Florida in the Sweet 16, and then they just kind of fell apart in the second half, and that just kind of makes you think like his guys like gave up on him because they're kind of like we know he's leaving. So it's just tough to see, especially talented guy having such a talented roster. The guys like Derek Queen, he had 27 points in this game, but Maryland can't get over the hump in what was supposed to be it should have been a lot more exciting time for Maryland than it was. I mean, the fact that like going to the game, they're booing, like fans are booing Willard. He apparently didn't even, again, this is all like rumors, but like didn't even tell the team over like face to face, like just how it had a Zoom, and then like didn't go to like the team dinner like the night before the game. So it's like clear that he'd already left, like he was already gone. And yeah, it's just a shame to see. I wish it would have been handled a little bit better. So now moving on to the second game from Saturday night. Sorry, we're doing a little bit of backtracking. Doing this out of order, that is kind of the tough thing here, where it's like I almost maybe next year want to do like a recap show at the end of each round rather than like waiting till the end of the weekend, since 2 rounds, it's a little bit tougher to talk about. But Duke just rolls over Alabama 85-65. They rolled over Arizona on Thursday as well. Really, neither of these teams struggled in their Sweet 16 match because Alabama, shot the lights out and handled BYU pretty handily, but then just got handled by Duke. And honestly, this is just really proving to me why Duke is the best team in the country. A little bit of a homer take here. Just, I am a Duke basketball fan. But they just have so many options. Like, it wasn't even Cooper Flagg in this game. Cooper Flagg had a great game. Don't get me wrong. 16 points for him, 9 rebounds. He even knocked down a 3-ball. I had 3 assists. Like, he was doing all, had a really big block. Or maybe I'm thinking back to Thursday. He had a really big block. But their leader was Con Knippel. Con Knippel had 21 points, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc, didn't miss at the line. Duke just shot the lights out of the ball in this game. I mean, they shot 46% from 3, 53% from the field, and 86% from the line. So that was lacking a little bit, but like they just shot the ball extremely well. And that's why I just think this Duke team is so dominant, is they can play at any style. Like against this Alabama team, Alabama wanted to like run and like, get shots up and just put up a lot of shots, like, run and gun. And Duke beat them at their own game. Duke just played Alabama's style, but did it better than the Crimson Tide. Because Alabama in this game only shot 35% from the field, 25% from 3, 78% from line. You're not going to win games shooting in that fashion. Like, let's just be honest. Like, you gotta get more. LeBaron Fallon was the leader for the Crimson Tide with 16, but took him 9 shots to get there. Chris Youngblood, 10 points, but also on 9 shots, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. Mark Sears had just not a good game, only 6 points from him, 2 of 12 from the field, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc, and even only 1 of 3 at the line. Like, Duke just had these guys. They're such a good defensive team, but also just can score the ball just at an elite level. That, that's why they're the number 1 team on KenPom, and I believe the 2nd ranked team on KenPom all time. I was trying to pull it up. I can't find it. I think it's behind like the paywall part of KenPom, but it is a tweet I've seen going around where like all these Final Four teams are all like top 10 teams on KenPom all time, which goes back to I think like 95, 96. So, we're looking at nearly, 30 years now here. And these are just all time, just dominant teams. Just kind of looking at anything else really here in this game. But I mean, it was 21 from Knippel, 16 from Flagg, but 17 from Proctor. Proctor's been playing really well in this tournament. Really cool interview, kind of after, like, someone caught like camera of him like talking after the game, and he's just like feels a lot different than last year. And I just tweeted out, I mean, like, Duke exercised their demons, man. The fact that John Shire already here in year 3 has this team in the Final Four, has gone to 2 Elite Eights and now a Final Four, and we'll see, maybe a national championship. It's just very impressive. And why I think, like I've just kind of mentioned here, these programs and coaching changes, like people clown on Coach K for taking his retirement tour. And, I understand it. I get it. But also, I think it was smart because it helped the program transition to the next era of Duke basketball. And, they're just keeping that dominance going. Meanwhile, a lot of these other coaches who just kind of stepped away, especially in the ACC. I mean, Miami was in the Final Four 2 years ago. They didn't even make the ACC tournament this year. Virginia, they've been struggling. Tony Bennett steps down like right before the season. And then, his like interim that they're already just not bringing him back. So, I mean, Syracuse, after Boeheim left has been horrible. They've done nothing. They're another program that's very quickly kind of slipping into the background. And like I mentioned earlier, Villanova, like Jay Wright left, and now Neptune, it's horrible. So it's Duke set themselves very well for the next generation, and it's carrying on here. I mean, that's why they're getting recruits like Cooper Flagg. That's why they have the Boozer twins coming in next year. Like Duke is going to just keep on rolling right where they pick up right where they left off. And we're seeing it here. So they onto the Final Four after, winning here on Saturday. Anything else really of note? No, I mean, it was really the starters, like, just kind of dominated this game. Caleb Foster did play 15 minutes off the bench, had 5 points, knocked down a triple. But yeah, other than that, it was really just the starting five that played in this game. Like, they didn't even need guys like Brown, Gillis, or Nawab. Like, it was pretty much just the starters rolling out for the Blue Devils. So dominant win for them. They really have not struggled at all yet in this tournament. I mean, let me look here. What's their, like, even closest game? I guess, yeah, Arizona was a 7-point game, but like that one they rolled. Like, it didn't really ever seem in doubt. Maybe in the first half, Arizona played a little bit close. Let me look back here. It was a 6-point game at the half, but Duke really in the second half just opened it up. Let me get over to what was Duke's start? Yeah, Duke led by as much as like 19. Like, Arizona cut it late. But Duke, once again, like that game they rolled. They just have not really had any tough tests so far yet in March. Like, that's just how dominant they've been. I mean, once again, on that game on Thursday, they shot 60% from the field, 57% from three. So the fact that they're also just shooting the ball at this clip that they are is just really impressive. We'll see if they can keep it going, though, against Houston. And that's the next game we are getting to. Houston heading to the Final Four for the second time now in, what is this, the last 4 years? Yes, because they were there at the Final Four in 21. They once again win they lost in the Final Four in Indianapolis in Lucas Oil, but this year they get revenge. They win 69-50 on Thursday. But first, let's actually, let's touch that one. Let's go in order here. Let's touch on their game against Purdue on Saturday or on Friday, because that was honestly, that's probably been the game of the tournament. Let's be honest. Like, at times, has this tournament been a little bit boring? Yes. I think the Sweet 16 was by far the best round. I think the Elite 8 was a little underwhelming. None of like Texas Tech, Florida. Okay, Texas Tech, Florida, and Purdue, Houston, like back to back. Where this game was the last game Friday night, that was the first game Saturday. Those were the two best games of the tournament by far, I would say. But other than that, it's been a lot of, kind of Sweet 16 had some pretty good games, but especially this one, where first Houston knocks off Purdue 62-60 on Milo Uzan's great baseline out of bounds play drawn up by Calvin Sampson, where Uzan inbounds the ball, given right back to him, just wide open layup to give Houston the lead with, what was that? It was like 1.2 seconds remaining. So it was a great play, just such a smart play where they got Fletcher Lawyer to run out of the play. Let me pull it up here, because that play was that just inbounds play was just beautiful. One of the better plays I have seen probably run all tournament. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Houston, incredible play to reach the Elite Eight. Is this? Oh, it's on TikTok. That's not going to work. Why is it not just on YouTube? So sorry. This is stuff I should have pulled up before. I pulled off a bunch of. All right. I guess hopefully one of these ones off of TikTok, like, plays. You joking, bro? Select two objects that are the same. What are we doing here? TikTok, man, ridiculous. All right, let me share my screen. Again, I hate that it's like on TikTok, like in this little, like, but watch this. Just watch how this is drawn up.
Playing for a spot in the Elite Eight.
Runs away to cover in the corner, and then the cut right back to Uzan. Easy lay-in. Just no chance for Purdue to stop that one. Just absolutely beautiful play. So that wins it for Houston. That one, it was also, 22 points from Uzan. He was the leader for the Cougars in that game. Emmanuel Sharp, 17 points as well. He's been playing really well this tournament. Yeah, Uzan shot 6 of 9 from 3 like that. He was just on fire, could not miss. On the Purdue side, well-fought game. It was Fletcher Loyer, like I mentioned, 16 points for him, and then 14 from Trey Kaufman-Renn. Braden Smith, not the greatest game for him. Only 7 points, 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. Did have 15 assists, so he was really distributing, just was not scoring the ball, which, I guess credit to Houston. That's what they wanted to do. That's what, the game plan. So really good win for Houston. Like I said, probably game of the tournament just because of that play alone. And then they just end up rolling on Sunday. This game, Tennessee went on like a mini run late in the second half, but it just really never felt like they were going to win this game. So Houston, 69-50 victory. It was Sharp, like I mentioned, 16 points. He was hitting some just insane shots. He was 4-10 from beyond the arc, and some of them were from the parking lot. Just could not miss. And then LJ Cryer with 17 points as well. So that backcourt duo is just going to be really tough to beat. I mean, they've always said it's guard play that gets you wins in March, and I think we're just really seeing it here with those two, just how dominant they've been. Cryer was there last year, had Jamal Shed with him, but obviously he graduates, and then now you have Manuel Sharp, Miles Uzan. So they're picking up just right where they left off. They're still just an insane defensive team. I mean, they held Tennessee to 28% from the field, 17% from beyond the arc. Tennessee only shot the ball 75% from the line as well, and they're usually a lot better free throw shooting team. So obviously, those shots aren't contested, but still, just they did not shoot the ball well at all, and they just couldn't get in rhythm just because of how just defensive of a team Houston is. That was why, I thought this game was going to be a lot closer because both these teams do play a really similar style where they're both very defensive teams, but Houston just proved, they have the better athletes. They just have the guys that can play that style better. Looking on the Tennessee side, Jamal Meshack only with 4 points. 17 from Chaz Lanier, so he did get his, but like I said, took him 18 shots to get that, including 2 of 12 from beyond the arc, so just was not shooting it well at all. And Zakai Ziegler held only 5 points as well. Granted, he is a bit more of a defensive player, but him too, 1 of 9 from the field, 1 of 6 from beyond the arc, so they just could not get anything going. Houston just in their grill was just holding Tennessee, and it's going to be, like I said, I think it's going to set up for a really interesting game in between Duke and Houston. I've seen some people say, oh, winner of that game's win the national championship. No, I think all 4 of these teams are just very, very talented that can all win the national title. Like I said, the SEC teams, especially the ones that are left, well, yes, they like to score, play a little bit faster. They can still defend. Well, Houston's a more defensive team. They still have, like I said, these talented guards that can score the ball. And Duke, Duke can kind of play whatever style you like. So I think we're looking up at some really good games. Literally, I think it's Duke's the favorite. Then I think it's Florida, and then Houston, and then surprisingly, I don't know how, the lowest odds to cut down the nets is your number 1 overall seed, the Auburn Tigers, who find themselves here in the Final Four. Bruce Pearl, second time leading Auburn to the Final Four in the last 6 seasons, the last 5 tournaments, just because 2020 was canceled. And Janai Broome, despite coming out of this game with an injury, still was their leader with 25 points, came back in, just showed why he is in that National Player of the Year conversation. Again, maybe a little biased. I personally would give it to Cooper Flagg, but Janai Broome is right there. 25 points this one, 14 rebounds, really just took over this game. No one on Michigan State could stop him. I mean, just dominant in the post. He was knocking down, hit 2 threes. He was scoring from all over. And, I really think if Michigan State was going to win this game, they were going to have to make some of Auburn's kind of second and third options beat them. And they just did not do that at all. It was just all Broome. I mean, Tahad Pettiford off the bench still had a good game with 10 points. Did take 12 shots, but 10 points. And, other than that, no one else was in double digits. Chaney Johnson had 8, Miles Kelly had 8, Denver Jones had 8, Chad Baker-Mazara only had 6. And then, 5 from Dylan Carl. So it really just was all Janai Broome in this game. And, that's what I'm just saying. I feel like it's very rare that Tom Izzo gets out coached, especially in March. And this game he kind of did. I just don't know if that was a great game plan to kind of take away other options and not like I would have tried to take away Janai Broome, but that's what I'm just saying. That's how dominant he is. He's very, very difficult to stop. That's a lot easier said than done. Where I'm like, oh yeah, I would have just taken Janai Broome. No, it's not that easy. So on the Michigan State side, their leader was Jackson Kohler with 17 points. He was battling inside there with Broome. Did score offensively, but just couldn't get anything going defensively. Did have a double-double with 11 points. Knocked down 3 of his 4 triples as well. Jace Richardson with 11 and Jaden Adkins with 15, but Michigan State just shot the ball super poorly in this game. That was really my biggest takeaway. There was Auburn just made Michigan State play their style rather than Michigan State playing their game. There was just so many times where Michigan State was just getting sped up and taking just bad shots because they thought, oh, we need to, shoot all these threes to hang with Auburn. And it was no, slow it down, take your shot. They're just chucking threes. They were just some of the worst shots I've seen, just completely off rhythm, we're never going in. So it just was not a good performance from the Spartans at all, and just really, really tough to see, in a big game like this. That's when you play as poorly as you do. So that's really, I guess, all I got from Michigan State. Just Auburn was just the better team. They just proved why they're the better team. Just Johni Broome dominated in this game. Just no one could stop him, and it's gonna be some good matchup between him and then some of the Florida bigs like Alex Condon, Ruben Shinyulu. I think that's going to be a really, really exciting game. Those two teams have played already this year. Auburn actually has played every team in the Final Four, which is really, really funny. I believe someone said 2014 Florida. Yeah, I think it was 2014 Florida had done the same. Or it was some other team in the 2014 tournament. But yeah, kind of looking back at this Florida-Auburn game back in February. So Florida did beat Auburn 90-81, in Auburn. It was Walter Clayton that had a big game in this one. I believe this was Johni Broome was back for this game, had 18 points. Him and Miles Kelly were their leaders. But yeah, for this game, it was really just Walter Clayton, Will Richard had a big game, and then Thomas Hall off the bench, another really solid big. Him and Condon. So it's gonna be interesting to see, kind of the battle with Hall, Condon, Shinyulu against Broome and Cardwell. And like I said, since Florida's already done it, I think that's probably why I'm going with Florida as my pick to take this one. Let me know your guys. Actually, let me post a comment here. Final Four predictions. Let's hear them. No, final. Oh my gosh, I can't read. I cannot read. Cannot type. Let me know your final Four predictions. So let's get the chat a little bit lively here. That does help me out when we got comments here in the chat. So Final Four predictions. We got Florida versus Auburn. And then that's the first game. Let me just pull these up here. So yeah, Florida versus Auburn, first game at 5:09, 6:09 Eastern on CBS. Florida's currently 2.5-point favorite in this one. And then the second one, Houston, Duke 5.5-point favorite. That one at 7:49 on CBS or 8:49 Eastern. But, that'll just kind of depend on how long the first game goes kind of thing. So like I mentioned, Florida has already done it against Auburn this year. I also just like the way the Gators are playing. I mean, it's really interesting here. You have the SEC tournament champion versus the SEC regular season champion. 34-4, 32-5. Florida, when's the last time Florida lost? Florida has not lost a game since at Georgia on what day was this? This was February 25th. So, Florida's going to have gone over a month they've gone over a month now without losing a game. I believe Duke and Houston are also in the same boat. Meanwhile, Auburn kind of backed their way into the tournament where people were kind of hesitant on Auburn. They proved why. They've been the number 1 overall seed, why they've been the best team in the country all year in this run here. But man, Walter Clayton is just a stone cold killer. And like I said, I think Florida has the bigs to match up with Auburn to slow down Johni Broome. And I think, this could finally be the spot where we see it. We've been waiting a little bit for an Auburn to kind of lose their temper, bad vibes was kind of happening towards the end of the tournament. I don't know, even the first game against Alabama State, it seemed like that. There still was a little bit of that in the first half, and obviously turning around have just rolled. Creighton gave them a little bit of a fight, but other than that, second half they dominated. And then Michigan. I guess I didn't even talk about that. They came back against Michigan. Michigan had Auburn on the ropes, but they showed that they have the ability to come back, just prove why they're the better team. But I think we're finally due for kind of one of those games where Auburn, loses their composure a little bit, goes off the ropes, and Florida gets it done. So I'm going with the Gators to take that one. Then moving on to Duke Houston, marquee game of the night. Cooper Flag going to be in the shining spotlight. It's first time that Duke's back in the Final Four since 2022. Just a horrible night when UNC knocked them off, and I'm really glad that North Carolina has fallen. Is not the same way. I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit of a homer here. But that was a tough night. So that's where I kind of get just vibe, just the similarities kind of throw me off. I mean, I was kind of getting a little bit before the Elite Eight game last year, or same thing. Like, it's feeling good about Duke taking on NC State, and then sure enough, Alabama knocks them off. Alabama went to the Final Four last year. I feel like a lot of the teams from this tournament and last year's tournament have been similar, or at least this tournament, and also like the 2019 tournament. It's kind of interesting to look back on. But here they're against Houston, a really defensive team, and I kind of did say that is, while Duke is a very good defensive team, I think these might even be the top 2 defensive rated teams on KenPom. 2 of the top 4, yeah, it's Houston's 1. Then St. John's was 2. Obviously, they got knocked off a while ago. And then Tennessee was 3. Duke is 4. So 2 of the top 4 defensive teams on KenPom. 2 just very, very talented squads defensively. And that's what I just keep saying. Why I think Duke can just kind of play any style that their opponent wants to play. And they just have the athletes to just do it better than them, honestly. So, going to be a bit of a homer. I'm still going to ride with Duke. I'm still going with Duke over Florida. That's been my pick. That's been my pick all tournament. That was my pick on the opening show. That was my pick last week for my second chance bracket. I'm riding with it. I mean, as chalky as it is, I'm riding with it. I mean, we have the most chalky tournament here. I'm going with what have been the 2 best teams in the last month. So give me Florida, Duke over Florida in the championship. St. Louis Sports here. He has Florida versus Houston in the championship game. Yeah, I mean, I could see, like I said, I could literally see any 4 of these teams, next week when we're doing this show. Still TBD, might do it Sunday night, might do it, post game after the game on Monday. Who knows? Maybe we'll do both. I can see any 4 teams cutting it down. Right now, I'm going Duke over Florida is my pick, but I can see any of it. So I like this pick here from St. Louis Sports, Florida versus Houston. Definitely let me know your guys' picks if you have not already. So I'm going to be honest, just because, like I mentioned at the top of the show, all the stuff kind of going on here. I have not followed the NBA as much lately because of just, all I've had going on. But there was a couple things that happened this week that I want to shout out. So first, we have this game winner from Thursday night, Josh Giddey against the Lakers. Let me pull it up here. Add to stay. Yep. All right. So you can see Bulls up by 1 with 6 seconds.
Doncic took the final shot before that. Here's Reeves. Reeves straight to the cup. Plays it in to take the lead.
And then
Bulls are out of timeouts.
Back to Josh
2
Giddey.
seconds left.
Fires it from beyond half. Money. Great cash. The Bulls, for the second time this year, knock off the Lakers. And I just got to give it a shout out because that's, that was a March Madness-esque buzzer. It happened Thursday night where I was watching the March Madness game, so I didn't even tune in, opening day, March Madness. NBA wasn't even on my radar on Thursday. Plus, just here in Chicago, I can't watch Bulls games because I don't have my cable provider doesn't have their new CHSN. Talked about it before. It doesn't matter. So shout out to the Bulls. Sweep the season series against the Lakers. Lakers here are struggling a little bit. Let me pull up the NBA standings. I always like to show those, and I didn't, of course, the 1 week that I did not pull them up. Come on. I don't know why my computer's frozen all of a sudden. All right, so I guess we're not pulling up the NBA standings. Let me do it on my phone. But yeah, the Lakers have struggled a little bit as of late, and now now things are getting dicey, especially losing 2 games to the Bulls, who the Bulls now are going to be a play-in team. But yeah, I guess Lakers are at fourth, but they're 5-5. So we'll see. So hopefully they can kind of turn it on here. But mainly more just shout out Josh Giddey, shout out the Bulls. What a win. And then the other NBA incident, this happened last night. Couple scraps. First I didn't even show it, but Dylan Brooks and the Rockets and Suns got into it. The Rockets were just killing the Suns. And now, but then before that, we had this scrap. So Naz Reid, and I can't even recognize who it is, but then DiVincenzo comes in, and yeah, look at this. Like they're into the stands. Like they're into the stands. There's a whole lot of there was no punches thrown this, but just a whole lot of shoving. Once you get into the stands, especially off the whole Malice and Palace, things get a little crazy. Plus, Isaiah Stewart's in there, and I literally tweeted it out. And like Isaiah Stewart's gonna like kill somebody one of these days, like in one of these brawls, because he just looks so angry. He wants to just come at somebody. So yeah, it's just kind of crazy scrap there between those two teams. Definitely think we're going to get some suspensions if we don't have them already, especially just because going in the stands. But yeah, Stewart and DiVincenzo had kind of been beefing like all game. And then it just kind of escalated into that. So that's that was just crazy. I don't know. They were literally saying last night, because I was watching some NBA post game stuff since March Madness got done pretty early, so I did watch a little bit last night. But yeah, they were saying there was as many ejections just between like that game and then Dylan Brooks getting thrown out last night. There's as many ejections as they had games. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff going on in the league last night. Finally got it here to work. So let's show the play-in picture. Show what the playoff picture be looking like today. So in the West, the play-in, we'd have the Timberwolves and the Clippers playing in the 7-8 game, where the winner of that would play the Rockets. Rockets are red hot. Both the Rockets and Thunder 9-1 their last 10. And then the Kings and the Mavs and the Kings. So Mavs, despite both these teams under 500, Mavs, dealing with some of these injuries, have gotten Anthony Davis back. Actually, because I was out watching the Duke game, I was out at a bar that had the Bulls game on. Played well against the Bulls on Saturday night. So he's back, and we'll see. Maybe they get healthy here at the right time. Do I think they can knock off the Thunder? No, but you never know. It's beauty NBA playoffs. So then that would play the 1 seed. Like Thunder have had the 1 seed wrapped up for a while. I'd be very surprised if we don't see the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. However, they'd be playing to get there. The Lakers and the Grizzlies, winner of that, currently 4-5, is what we're looking at. I think that'd be a really good match. That'd be one I'd have circle. Obviously, as a Lakers fan, I think that's a good matchup for the Lakers. I kind of like when they play some of these younger teams. Granted, I think the Thunder are probably too talented for the Lakers, especially just with the Thunder's big man depth that the Lakers do not have. And then 3-6, we'd have Nuggets Warriors, and oh my goodness, I'd love that series. That would be awesome. So hoping we get that. I mean, Jokic, Curry, 2 MVPs. Warriors have been red hot. I want to say last night I heard they were 18-4 since acquiring Jimmy Butler. So I mean, they're only a game here behind the Grizzlies. Maybe they even jump up. I really think we're gonna get, honestly, a Warriors-Lakers first round series would not surprise me. That'd be a lot of fun. I guess it'd be bad for my Final Four prediction I had on last week's show of Thunder and Warriors, because if the Warriors jump up, then they'd be playing the Thunder in the second round. But yes, that's what we're looking at in the West. Then out east here, Cavs, 16-15, 1 seed. They're going to win the 1 seed pretty handily. However, I guess now their lead is only down to 4.5 games. So maybe not. They haven't been playing as well as of late. I might have jinxed them a little bit when I said I thought they were going to win 18 straight, and then I think it ended at 16. And I want to say they had a couple 3-game skids. So they're the 1 seed. They'd play the winner of the play-in, which the play-in currently, we got the Hawks at the 7, Magic at the 8. Magic are really kind of sliding. Been disappointing year for Orlando, especially after last year, just being an outright playoff team, taking the Cavs to 7. Really thought they'd kind of jump up this year, but they have not taken that jump. And then, like I said, the Bulls are actually playing pretty well. They're now up to the 9 seed. However, same record as the Heat. So Bulls, Heat in the 9-10. Just what Jerry wants, just what Jerry Reinsdorf wants for the Bulls, be a play-in team, make their fans think, oh, okay, maybe we'll get a first round 2 games against the Cavs. I mean, if the Bulls are playing the Cavs are sweeping the Bulls. Like, let's be honest here. Then we have the Pistons who've actually jumped the Bucks. So we now have Pacers Pistons, kind of two upstart team. Well, the Pacers were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. It's not really an upstart team, but the Pistons definitely an upstart team. Crazy that they went from what they were a year ago, just joke of the league. Now we're in the 5th seed and only a game behind the Pacers. Could honestly be hosting a first-round playoff series. That would just be remarkable. Would be the turnaround of the season. Then the 3-6, we got Bucks Knicks. I think that would be a really fun series to watch. Could see that one going either way. Honestly, I probably I think just because the Pacers have bounced the Bucks the last 2, or no. Yes, Pacers have bounced the Bucks the last 2 years. I'm pretty sure. At least they did last year. But Bucks, I know, have gotten knocked out in the first round last 2 years. Honestly, I might kind of like their matchup against the Knicks a little bit more. And then we got the Celtics as a 2 seed. Let's just kind of scroll down here. Like I mentioned, yeah, Celtics are 9-1. They've made up some ground. Pacers 7-3, playing well. Then yeah, Pistons 6-4 to the Bucks 4-6. So, and then Bulls, like I mentioned, 7-3. So they're tied with the Pacers for the second best record in the East in their last 10 games. Then, like I mentioned earlier, Thunder, Rockets rolling, Warriors, Timberwolves, and Clippers are all, you know, kind of right on the tail of some of these teams, like kind of battling for you know, one of them is probably going to be a playoff team. The other two are going to have to play in the play-in. But, you know, they're right on Memphis' tail. Only 2 games behind the Lakers. So, you know, if Lakers, Memphis Nuggets all been, you know, 500 in the last 10 games. If they don't pick it up, you know, these teams who are pretty hot could end up catching them. So that's going to wrap it up. Like I said, a little bit quicker just because it is just me here today and got some stuff going on tonight. And, you know, like I said, I haven't watched a ton of NBA, but next week we definitely will be tuning into it. I mean, 2 weeks from tonight, we will be doing our playoff preview show here in the NBA. So really getting down to it. So appreciate everyone who tuned in live here on the Variety Sports Network YouTube channel. Make sure to check us out either here on YouTube or also all the shows are now on Spotify. Also have a lot of other great shows. I mean, 7th Inning Stretch been doing a great job here with the with MLB starting, you know, next left turn on Sunday nights, recapping NASCAR. So a lot of other great shows here on the network. Make sure to check those out if you have not. But that's going to wrap it up for this time. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.